Policewoman bit best friend's nose until it was hanging off. A policewoman was jailed for 22 months on Monday after biting her best friend's nose so hard, it was hanging off. Rebecca Barnett, who was pregnant at the time, launched her vicious assault at a children's football club awards ceremony and chomped on the Leanne Rawlins' nose in front of both their kids. Judge Zoe Smith told Barnett, "You were a serving police officer, you should have known better." The 33-year-old, who has been sacked from the police for gross misconduct, admitted the charges against her but was allowed to remain out of prison until she gave birth to her child. Judge Smith heard that while off-duty, Barnett, who didn't know she was pregnant and had been drinking Prosecco, became involved in an argument with her 29-year-old friend before the fight started. She then grabbed Rawlins and bit her on the nose, causing a significant injury, which required surgery and has left the victim with permanent scarring. Rawlins, who was good friends with Barnett and works as a carer, was left suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and nightmares after the Easington Football Club event. She broke down in tears after the judge jailed Barnett. Sentencing her, Judge Smith said, "You and Ms. Rawlins were good friends. And not only were your children there but others' children were present. There was a conversation about parents taking drugs. She said she was going home and that made you angry. You threw down your glass and smashed it. You saw her and went towards her in anger. You called Ms. Rawlins' friends cokeheads. She then asked you, Ms. Barnett, if you were implying that she took drugs. You punched her in the chest, grabbed her and you both fell to the pavement. Man who faked holiday sickness to claim compensation ordered to pay £10,000 drill gang who promoted violence jailed for planned machete attack on rivals. Man injured in stabbing outside Nando's in High Street Kensington who held her ears while shouting at her. You moved your face in and bit her forcefully on the nose." She added, "It was an appalling injury and Ms. Rawlins' nose was actually hanging off. She was taken to hospital and had 2 operations. But sadly there is still scarring there." She described feeling very depressed and suffering from nightmares and agoraphobia, or a fear of open spaces. She was also diagnosed with PTSD. You have been dismissed from the police force where you had been working for some 13 years. This was an assault that took place in the presence of children. Prosecutor Corinne Branwell had earlier told Oxford Crown Court, the injury to Ms. Rawlins was serious. The end of her nose was hanging off. The police were called and she was taken to hospital and required plastic surgery. They were best friends. In a victim impact statement read to the court, Rawlins told of the effects the incident had on her and said, "We had such a close friendship. She would call my dad Dad. When you are involved in someone's kids' lives you have a responsibility to them. She failed in that responsibility. My boys would ask how a police officer could do something like this. The police are supposed to protect them." Nadia Kbat, defending Barnett, said, "My client accepts that she behaved in the most deplorable way. My client has 2 children and a baby, but she did not know she was pregnant at the time of the incident." Kbat also told how Barnett had made plans for the 2 older boys to stay with their father and for the newborn baby to stay with her aunt. Barnett, of Wood End in Banbury, Oxfordshire, was sentenced to 22 months in prison having admitted inflicting grievous bodily harm during the scrap. Thames Valley Police's Deputy Chief Constable, John Campbell, said, PC Barnett's actions were very much below the standards expected of an off-duty police officer. Barnett has been convicted of a violent offense and it would be completely unacceptable for her to continue in her duties protecting the public as a serving police officer. Barnett was told she will pay compensation in the region of £7,000, as well as costs of £1,200. More than 500 children needed mental health care after Grenfell Tower fire. Chloe Ayling vindicated after man convicted of kidnapping and drugging her 2 teens charged after moped gang left woman critical by punching her for phone.